So now I want to come back to Qaida because of course we do themes and we do variations, but there are supposed to be rules on that one must follow, and that's why it differentiates between there's a difference between Qaida or Rela or something. These days we also tend to play Rela like as if you're playing Qaidas. In other words, although we use different phrases for Relas, we still consider them as theme and variations. So we tend to play Relas, long Relas with like 20 variations. And so for me, there has to be a balance between that and what the Qaida is, because Qaida is supposed to be themes and variations. Rela is supposed to, in my opinion, and that I may be totally wrong, is supposed to be something that you ulat, palat, accent and do all that stuff. And so either that, or we must figure out a way to play Qaidas which do not use phrases that are used in Rela and approach it that way. So Qaidas meaning, okay, you have the theme, so those are the syllables and phrases that you have that are something that you can rely on and draw from. Nothing else. It's like developing a raga. You have a 5-note scale, pentatonic. That's all you've got, and you've got to work with that. So those are the phrases that you have. Secondly, I think sometimes the Delhi Ustads or maestros imposed even further tighter things on it. For instance, they said, okay, if you're playing dhatete, dhatete, dha-dhatete, dhagatina, gena, so there's only one theta every time. Dhatete, dhatete, dha-dhatete, dhagete, nagena. So at no point in any of the variations you should introduce 2 thetas in a row. So you can't go dhatete, dhatete, dha-dhatete, tete. No. So that's something that was also emphasized as and when it pleased the maestro. And the other, of course, thing is that the length has to be always even, whether it's 4, 8, 16 in teen tal or 32, and it should rhyme like a poem would, like dhati dagate nagina is the end, so every variation must end with that, so that you have an ending that everybody recognizes. There are Qaidas in Delhi which almost sound like a very long variation, and I would suggest that one should shy away from it. Just stick with ones which are within the one cycle. I'll give you an example. There's a simple theme. Dhag dati dagena dati dagate nagena ta dati dagena dati dagate nagena dhag dati dagena dati dagate nagena ta dati dagena dati dagate nagena. Okay? Or dhak dati dagena dati dag. That's a grace. And we sometimes subconsciously or without thinking about it do put it in, even though it's not in the theme. So those kind of grace notes are possible. Dhag dati dagena dati dagate nagena ta dati dagena. Okay, you can get away with that. But this led to another theme that I heard from Delhi maestro, which was so long, and I said, how do you create a variation? Like 13, 14, 15, 16. Dag dati dagena dati dagatina dadatina dati dagena dati dagatina dadatina dadatina dati dagatina dadatina dati dagena dati dagatina gena ta. Already, that's how long it is. So when you have a theme like that, how do you, I mean, 2 cycles long theme, 4 cycles long variations, that gets to be a little, I mean, you could do it and show your prowess as a creator in that area, but it doesn't help the audience. Audience cannot keep track of what you've come up with and when is the khali arriving and so on. So these are things to be considered. One thing I would say is that Qaidas are played differently in different places, right? Like for instance, dati dagena dhatrikri dati dagate nagena. So it's one terekita. You should be playing that according to the Delhi idea. But if you go to Banaras, Dati dage na datir dati dagate nagena datir datir dati dagate nagena or dati dage na datir dati dagate nagena datir dati dagena but datir dagate nagena dati dage na datir datir nagena dati dagate. So datir is added and it turns into some kind of a rela idea, and I have nothing against that. I do it myself, but keep in mind that you try to not introduce phrases that are not allotted in the theme. So I'm going to try to play my first qaida that my father had taught me, this one, and see where it goes. Okay, 13, 14, 15, 16. One thing, going into the khali in qaida should be clearly placed, and coming out of the khali into the sum should be clearly placed. So what I see as a good example of that is if you're playing dha, dha, ge na, dag, tinna, dha, ge na, dag, tinna, ke na, dha, dha, ge na, dag, tinna, ke na, going into tin, so khali, ta, ta, ke na, tak, tinna, takena tak tinna kena dha dhagena dhag dhinna gena dha, bringing it back. So how are you? How's everything going? And the answer is, oh, I'm fine, thank you very much. Ta takena takatina takena takatina dha dhagena dhag dhinna gena. So it's a resolve, it brings you back. So tinna kena going into khali, dhinna gena coming out of khali. Okay, so and according to your taste, the rest of the tinnas or dhinnas you can work with, so as you please. So 13, 14, 15, 17. developing is that way, and just one finger. Of course, you can get more worked up into it. This I played it at a medium tempo, so it was clear for you to hear the qaida. And so that was one thing that I played. Then he taught me a qaida, same qaida, but addition of ti. So dha, dhagena, dhagatina, dhagena, dhagatina, gena, dha, dhagena, dhagatina, gena became dha, dhati, dhagena, tina, dhati, dhagena, tina, gena, dha, dhati, dha. So dha, dhagena became dha, dhati, dha. So dha, dhati, dhagena, tina, dhati, dhagena, tina, gena, dha, dhati, dhagena, tina, gena, dha, dhati, dhagena, tina, dhati, dhagena, tina, gena, dha, dhati, dhagena, tina, gena. The next theme that I played. You can practically transpose the same vistaras that were in the other qaida into this, because the length and the number of beats are the same, just T has been substituted in there. So developing that. And that was, after playing that qaida for a while, he introduced Tirikita into it, but that was his concept, his idea. If Delhi was there, then the Tirikit hopefully would not have come into play, but because it was him, it came into play. So now I'm feeling inside of me that I want to slip in a kre every now and then, because it seems natural. So da gadati tage nate nage na ghidna gadari gidta da gadati tage nate nage na ta kridati tage nate nage na ghidna gadari gidta gidta kridati tage na. It seems natural to play in there. So by all means, slip it in and hope that nobody notices. It's a grace note, and so that's what it is. So I'm adding another taktarikita, not allowed in the original, but the maestro says so, so I'm doing it. And so the development of the qaida goes into a whole different direction with different sets of do's and don'ts. And so it goes on like that. So and so kaidas can go on like that. And if I was to play, I would try to follow the way the Delhi system suggests it should be, or any other Delhi qaida. I would try to follow the same manner. But I would take liberties if I'm playing qaidas which were suggested from gharanas like Punjab or Banaras or Farrukhabad, because their technique and their ability to be able to introduce a full hand idea is something very interesting. And there are qaidas that allow you some very interesting sparkle, like a, what was it? Which allow you an interesting combinations like Din Tere Kita played in there, or you know the famous Ustad Khan. What was that? Different things like that. So qaidas also have elements that sparkle, but how to keep that away from Rela is something that I'm struggling with, and hopefully an interesting balance would be arrived at with the help of other tabla maestros and so on, so forth. So I'll hold the qaidas here and I'll take one more question.
What did you have for breakfast?
Huh?
What did you have for breakfast?
What did I have for breakfast? Are you kidding? Tabla players sleeping in late and trying to start at 11 o'clock breakfast? Well, I had half a banana and a few almonds. That's what I did. And I was, this is my studio practice office area. It's a little like 3 minutes away from my house. So this is where I practice. Tony G practices, and we have our offices and everything, and so I ran over here as quickly as I could. Now that we've done, I'm gonna go and have maybe a little bit more cereal or some toast and maybe a hard-boiled egg or something, and you know, no nalli nihari or payas or anything like that in Marin County. It's a health conscious county. Everybody goes for hikes and walks and jogs and mountain bikes and everything around here. So for me to even suggest that, everybody looks at me strange, like which planet did you come from? So anyway, okay. Thank you all very much for this Friday, and we will see you next Friday.